And, you know, Mr. Chair, I guess I don't understand your comment that we're in a tough situation and we therefore have to ignore fiscal notes or go forward to pass a bill by a deadline, even though fiscal notes aren't in, because we have these reform ideas. We've always had reform ideas. We have always wanted to book savings from initiatives for things that we like, even though we don't have any real money. In fact, I think 2 years ago, Representative Simon had a bill for the False Claims Act that we really wanted to book money for to meet our target, but we actually had the fiscal discipline not to make up numbers in order to meet fake budget targets. You know, just to be very clear, this bill is not something that we don't have a choice about. You don't have a choice because of the budget target you were assigned, but the budget target you were assigned is silly and ridiculous and doesn't have any kind of basis in reality for how to fund state government operations. We've got $94 million in reductions that we don't dare to make. We want the governor to do it. We've got $170 million in fake revenue. We have an $82 million reduction, but we're offsetting that by $34 million in new tax compliance. So out of a total target of $310 million reduction, we're actually cutting 46. That's the only cuts we're doing. It's the only real thing in this bill. And you know, I know that many people see this as just a political response to Governor Dayton's budget, that this is just something we do. These have to get passed and they have to get vetoed, and then pretty soon we'll start legislating for real, et cetera. But this is never going to become law. And the biggest concern I have is that you have all these new freshman members of the legislature who haven't been here before. And what they're learning in their first year is that fiscal notes are to be ignored. Fiscal notes aren't real. Fiscal notes don't have to be included in omnibus budget bills, when in fact they always have been before. And our fiscal discipline, our fiscal responsibility as a legislature is actually one of the things that we have going. We might disagree on revenue, we might disagree on spending, but the discipline of following the fiscal note process and of making sure that bills are real when they're passed is something that we're turning our backs on in this session so far. And I think it's a real damage that your party is doing to this institution, and by turning your back on a long tradition of actually doing things right. Everybody's wanted to do this before, but this is the first time we're actually going forward with fake bills for a fake budget balancing effort.
Well, Representative Winkler, your characterization is wrong. I never said that we should ignore fiscal notes. Never have. We've been working hard to get fiscal notes on all of the proposals that are before us. We've had difficulty getting fiscal notes, and departments working on fiscal notes have had difficulty putting them together because we're plowing some new ground here. And you know, we're anxious to have fiscal notes on all provisions in this bill. We've got a number of them now. We've got hard numbers in those fiscal notes that have told us what the potential is, and we've used those numbers in putting this bill together. And to say that we're going to ignore fiscal notes is just flat out wrong. We're not. We want fiscal notes. We will do everything we can to get fiscal notes, but we need to understand it's difficult because we're proposing things here that Minnesota hasn't done before. And that isn't going to come together in a fiscal note readily, like we would hope. And we'll keep plowing away trying to make that happen.